All right, what's up, everyone? Didn't really plan on making this video, but I decided I better. And I just wanted to kind of give everyone a little bit of explanation with this, with the way everything goes on in this industry. There's always these rumors, there's always these things, and I'm able to make a video and explain a little bit about what's going on. So, the Bubba, the hybrid hunter, whatever y'all want to call it, this is the new bait Strike King's coming out with. I had a lot to do with this. Basically, I almost maybe had everything to do with it. And so I'll give you a little background. This bait, a lot of people might have seen before, or think they've seen before, or seen another company made it, and seen some knockoffs, and those people think that they're the first ones to make it or whatever. So I'm just going to set this record straight here, guys. So when I first started really getting into bass fishing, we're talking early 2000s, I started with this company, and a buddy of mine who I'm really good friends with to this day, he kind of got me on board. And so that company was Strike Pro. When I got on board with them, you know, like no one really knew who I was. I was just kind of this kid on Rayburn fishing a lot. And we started doing pretty good. And what was cool about the company was that they had a whole bunch of baits, like crazy amounts of baits. And when I first got there, you know, like they gave me this one bait and I went out there and started fishing with it. And actually the first tournament we ever fished with it, we won the tournament, me and my buddy Brent. It was a swim bait. Well, it was pretty cool, right? I mean, that like I'd never even seen anything like this. So I started getting really good with the company, and I started really realizing, you know, hey man, they got a lot of these baits. I'm going to try to figure out what to do with them all, because there were baits I've never seen before, never seen them in the bass fishing industry. A lot of the baits weren't even used for bass fishing. I'll be honest. Most of the baits were saltwater or baits from, man, I don't even know what kind of fish they're supposed to catch. They're overseas and they catch these weird fish with big teeth and you know, I didn't really know what to do with it. Well, I would get these baits, they just give them to me, and I'd be like, all right, what do I do with them all? And so over time, I would start messing with them, you know. Well, there was one bait in there that I got. I'll never forget it. It's a weird, goofy looking bait with this weird, you know, bill on it. And I went out to the lake one day and I threw it and I looked at it and I go, I don't know. It's pretty cool. It moves pretty cool, but like the color was weird to me. It was literally the only one that I knew of in the US. It was the only one in the US. So I thought. So anyways, I put it back up. I mean, it's like I got other baits to try. So a year goes by and I never throw it again. So me and my buddy, it's crazy that me and Andrew Upshaw were kind of friends at the time, but I mean, I don't know why, to be honest, to this day, he comes out there in the boat with us, with me, him, and my buddy, and it's in the springtime, and we're gonna go throw like rattle traps and stuff, and I bring this one bait. I said, hey, we're gonna try out like 7 or 8 different baits today, and that was the one I had tied on. So we go out there and we start throwing it, and man, it was a no-brainer. I mean, it was like lights out. I mean, it just killed. I mean, it was just the most unbelievable thing I'd ever seen. So like literally my buddy got on the phone with them and was like, order these baits right now. Well, let me tell you something. When we got to find out more and more about the bait, right? He was like, order them. They didn't want to order them. They're like, hey, that's an old bait. We've had that thing since like the 70s. We don't make them anymore, all these things. And I'm like, no, y'all got to start making them. So long story short, we finally got convinced them to make this bait. We go back, and by the time within like the next week, we find that there's like 4 or 5 more in this warehouse. Like we could dig through every box to find them. So I got all like 4 or 5 of them. That's the only ones in the US. I start fishing them. We start doing really good in tournaments, and man, to be honest, we just kept it secret. There was no reason to tell anyone. So this goes on. And about a year or 2 later, we finally got some of the new ones in. We started making colors. We started doing all this stuff. And we'd already been using them, and no one knew about them, and so it was great. We had it all to ourselves. We're still talking, 2009, 2010. I do pretty good in some coasters on it. I almost win one on it. It was really cool. Well, my relationship with them, and I'll say this: there's two different Strike Pros. There's the Strike Pro overseas, and then there was the Strike Pro in America. And it's run by, they're the ones that run all of Strike Pro. This is kind of like a little side company that sells some of their baits. Anyways, long story short, they just didn't do things properly. And that's why they're not around anymore. And so even when they ordered these baits, and they sold a couple of them in the US. The problem was when we were like, hey, we're going to sell hundreds of thousands of these things, they ordered like 5,000 of them, like for the entire US. I mean, they literally, and they sold out within almost a month for the most part of the really good colors. They later came out with some other stuff, and it wasn't as good. No one really bought them, and there was colors that really needed to be out there. Well, fast forward, I'll be honest with you, there's about 5 of us that bought up every single one of them in the entire country that was out there. And that's kind of what we did, because we knew how good they were. Fast forward a couple years, I mean, it is what it is. We just kept it silent, and some people knew about it, but they could never get their hands on one. I think since then, a company out there tried to remake it. And it did not turn out like the original, nowhere even close. And the reason is there's a lot that goes on with this bait. I've been throwing it for 10 to 12 years. I've really learned about everything there is to know about it. And when we first started doing it, I didn't understand a lot about it. And the more I worked actually with Strike Pro and all these different crazy baits, it's kind of where I got my knack for figuring out what baits do, because I learned all these baits that no one has ever talked about. I still have baits that probably no one's ever seen before, and how they work. Fast forward to my relationship with Phil Marks and Strike King. And if y'all don't know, Phil Marks is like one of the, big time lure designers for Strike King and developers. And me and him became friends, and I started working with Strike King with like the pop and perch and pad perch and things like that. And I brought this bait to him, and I'm like, hey, what do we want to do with this thing? And we got to talking, and we didn't really know what we were going to do. We didn't want to copy it. We didn't want to knock it off like so many other companies do. And I was like, hey, my relationship with Strike Pro overseas is still fair, is really well. Like, those guys know me and everything. So I reached out to them. And basically what happens is we all came to an agreement that that Strike Pro was fine with it. They're like, hey, we're going to be able to use this bait and sell it under Strike King's name. So I know that's different. It's not normal, but guys, it's a win-win. It's a win for them. It's a win for Strike King. It's a win for the fishermen. Like, everyone's getting the good, everything's getting good out of it. So it became a no-brainer. And like I said, we didn't want to mess up the original. The original was so good. And we knew you couldn't duplicate it. And the reason is because, I don't want to go into why, but there are some things you just cannot duplicate from the original. It's got some actions that it was made so perfectly. I don't know if it was a mistake or whatever, but it came out perfect. And so, and that way and Strike King's great, because now we have a good relationship with Strike Pro. And like I said, everything's mutually great between all of us. So I'm making the video because I made a video a couple days ago, and I've been making videos about this bait leading up to when we're going to come out with it at ICAST. I got some comments and stuff from going, hey, isn't that a Strike Pro Bubba? Or isn't, hey, another company already makes this, copycats. And I just wanted to set the record straight and let y'all know that I personally wouldn't be putting my name on it. Or when I say put my name on it, I wouldn't be backing it. I wouldn't be behind this. I wouldn't have Strike King behind it if it wasn't on the up and up. And Some people aren't going to understand that. I would hope that most of y'all would listen to this and understand. I mean, like I said, I've had this bait for going on 15 to 16 years now, way before anyone else ever has. And like I said, anyone that knows where it originally started, you can actually go look it up from Strike Pro, that it started there. And I was literally the first person in the United States to ever probably hold one, throw one for years. And it was pretty cool. Why am I letting it out now? Good question. You know, I've had it for a long time. And so at some point in time, it's all right to let a cat out of the bag, right? I mean, we're doing it and we're going to do it the right way. I always wanted to make sure that if I did something like this or had a bait, it was done through the right way, like by the right company, where we were able to make the right colors, the right bait, distribute them the right way so everyone can have them, not just a couple people here and there. And we wanted to make it right. That was a big key when we did all this, because I didn't want to make a bait that was like a copycat and only kind of as good, right? And so where I'm only throwing the good ones and we're selling ones that aren't the right ones. I mean, I don't ever want to do that. Like, I want to be able to say, hey, the same one you went and bought at the store is the same one I'm throwing right now. And guys, it's the same thing. Like, it's being made the same way, same company, same everything. So that's what's pretty cool. You will be able never to see the difference. I couldn't tell you the difference. I'm throwing the new ones all right now, all the prototype ones, because that's still what I do. I still go test them out. We're still testing out colors and things like that. So you're going to see a lot more videos over this. Not me talking, but me fishing them. I've been kind of hiding them in videos. I kind of got the okay by Strike King that we were finally allowed to share them. But like I said, I just wanted to make this video. I just wanted to be real transparent with y'all about how this all came about, because I don't want to be a part of something that looks like we copied something or did something the wrong way. Like I said, I was kind of the guy who started it all with this company, and we're still moving forward with them. Everything's still moving, and we're all in agreement. So it's great, right? I mean, what else can you ask for? That's pretty cool in this industry to have relationships like that, where it all works together and everyone's happy. And that way you don't get into these other deals where people are copying stuff and things like that. So just wanted to share with y'all that. I know, like I said, I don't know what else I can say about this. I hope it clears up any questions or comments anyone has. Comment away, man. Like I said, this is what I do. I've tried to be transparent on all my videos and really let people in on what really goes down. I don't think there's enough of that going on in our industry, and this is one of the few things that I can talk about that I have basically more firsthand knowledge than anyone else in the country about. So that's what it is. I hope you'll like the video. Like I said, comment, question, ask me anything. Hopefully I can answer it. Hopefully it'll be coming out soon, guys. We're going to probably introduce it at ICAST. I can be honest with you. I have zero idea about like when we'll actually be able to buy one here. Like, I'm not in that level yet. I leave that to those guys. I do more of the fishing. So I don't know about that. I just know we're probably going to introduce it at ICAST, and that sometime after that they will have to order as much as we can before we can start selling them, but it'll be pretty soon after that, I assume. So look for it. Don't worry. Before this thing comes out, I'll probably know the day it comes out. I'll make videos about it. I'll let everyone know. So anyways, check it out. Hope you like it, guys.